When it comes to bass fishing, what's on your boat's deck can make all the difference. Every bait tells a story and every setup has a purpose, and I'm breaking it all down. What's on my deck? Let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? It's that time. We're kicking off 2026 with a What's on My Deck. We're covering January, and basically I'm sitting on a canal at my new house. Bree and I got a house down here in Florida. Super excited about that. We spent a lot of time over the last 15 years tournament bass fishing down here in Florida and got to know literally every nook and cranny of the state and really kind of settled on a place here. So real excited to be able to bring awesome content, be able to chase big bass down here in Florida and in the southern states in the winter, and also get back home up in Lake Mille Lacs during the summertime and definitely be putting on those big smallmouth. But a couple new things. Got myself a brand new boat, about to do a walkthrough. The What's on My Deck is coming a little late. My wife, Bree, behind the camera, broke her ankle, actually. So we have been rehabbing that a good bit around the house, but she's back at it a little bit, at least in the walking boot. Happy to have her. We're kicking off January, so now I have been doing some traveling for my new The Bass Lane series. I hope everybody that's watching this has got a chance to check that out. New exciting series that's going to keep coming just with What's on My Deck. Same every couple weeks have a new What's on My Deck, and then a couple weeks after that have a new Bass Lane. So me and my buddy Logan Huey, who is behind the camera for those, doing an epic job. If you saw the first one, you know what I'm talking about. And we've been running around doing a little fishing, but now we are here, rigged up, the wraps on the boat, and I have my 9 setups that I'm ready to go and attack some bass with in the Sunshine State. Now, cold front. Florida, when we first got down here, I didn't even have a boat. It was beautiful. It was like 80-something degrees every single day. I'd never really been in Florida that early. I did live here once, like 20 years ago or something when I was a kid, but never really seen it. Still kind of winter, or maybe even late fall, you'd call it if you really... Well, the winter finally came for Florida, which is only going to be a couple days here and there of low temps where it gets down into the 30s. So we have a lot of stuff going on. We still have fish that are in the pre-spawn, or definitely have a lot of fish in the pre-spawn. We still have fish that are in their winter mode, chasing bait fish, chasing shad, golden shiners, really eating up for the winter. And then we got some spawners and some post-spawn. And this is going to happen now in the Florida from January through March, even into April sometime. So I got a little bit of a good array. Pretty excited to get to it. It's on my deck all the time because it's always on my deck. So it's what's on my deck. And this is a Z-Man Evo, a 3/8 ounce white Evo, and I'm using a Z-Man razor shad tail, 3/8 ounce. I was fishing around a lot of really shallow grass, and I'm looking for fish that are wanting to commit to the spawn. Now, I've been having a little bit tough time finding clear water in Florida right now in the places that I have been fishing. I'm looking for that pond water. I want that real clean black water. It's tannic, but it's clean water. And you know when you're around it. Those are the areas those fish are going to want to spawn, or at least want to bite around the spawn. Actually did a little bit better more in the dirty water, just throwing a 3/8 white. I'd generally be throwing green pumpkin or black and blue, something like that when I'm in Florida, especially in that pond water, that dark water. But when it gets dirty, now dark, two different things. Dark is kind of clear pond water. Dirty is, dirty. It's dirty water. Hard to see your bait in it, period. White, I all of a sudden switched over to white, started catching a lot of fish on it. One of my favorite new all-around setups. I've thrown a few different ones when I'm throwing chatterbaits, and this Evo is no exception, is the G Loomis GLX 873C bladed jig rod, BJR rod. It's a GLX, it's 7.3, it's perfect, medium heavy action, and it's a little bit more beefed up than the NRX Plus version of the bladed jig rod. So I really like it when I'm down here in shallow, thick Florida cover. And of course, I'm just using a Shimano Metanium. This is a 7-speed, nothing too fast. I don't want to blow out the blade, but I want to be able to pick it up. Especially, I'm getting a lot of my bites on switching up my cadence, throwing it out there, reeling it, killing it, ripping it. Sometimes I can't even tell you what I was doing to get the bite. I was just switching up the cadence so much. So I do still think the 7-speed ratio is good for that. If I was solely yo-yoing chatterbait, then I'd probably go to an XG and bump it up to like an 8-speed. But that's my very first setup, is going to be a chatterbait. And anyone who's fished in Florida, anyone who's bass fished knows the power of a chatterbait, and anyone down here in Florida knows a 3/8 ounce chatterbait, half-ounce chatterbait gets absolutely eaten. Next, one of my favorite ways to fish when I'm down here. Spent a lot of time learning how to fish you know, whether it be a Cinco. In this case, I'm throwing a Z-Man bang stick, small little 3/16 ounce weight, sometimes an eighth on there. I'm using this rod is perfect for me for fishing in Florida. I'm using a Metanium again. This is a XG, so it's an 8-speed. I'm using straight 50 or 40 pound Power Pro chartreuse with a 20 pound Seeger Invisex fluorocarbon leader. I'm using this Owner HD cover shot. It's a thick one. This is like a 5/0 or a 4/0. Fits these worms absolutely perfect. Has a nice little fluorocarbon keeper that keeps the Elastec on there. But the rod, this is the G Loomis GLX 894C FPR. I talk about the 894 a lot, but in the jig worm rod, I throw that, you know, a speed worm, something like that. In any kind of soft plastic stuff, I'm dragging around a Texas rig worm. But when I'm down here in Florida, those lily pads, man, they're thick. They're thick, and I'm trying to make really long casts. And this GLX, this is the FPR, so it's a flipping version, but still super light. You ain't gonna find a flipping stick that's this light and this strong. You're just not gonna find it unless you go with this G Loomis GLX. And able to make long casts. And when I load up in those lily pads, sometimes those stems are like my cork, and I can able to get in there, and when those fish get me all wrapped in, it's not always the 8-9 pounders. Those kind of come screaming out. Still love to have the rod, but it's those 3 pounders, tournament fish, that are very, very important on Florida to get that limit put together, and this one helps me get them out of there. Again, if you're a big, strong, big, tall dude, maybe this is too much rod for you. Maybe you'd want like a regular heavy or even a medium heavy, but for me, just under 6 foot, 175 pounds, this thing helps me get them out of the thick stuff. What do we got next? Let's talk about the frog. I know me and Logan got a good thing coming with this thing. I've been tossing around this Bass Mafia's new frog. Brett Cannon made this frog, helped them design it. It's perfect, and I love throwing a popping frog, especially in lakes like Okeechobee, anywhere down here, anywhere. I like throwing a popping frog literally anywhere. But this one's a killer. It's the Cannonball frog, popping frog. What I really like about this is the weights aren't on the frog. They're actually on the bottom of the hooks. So helps me walk this bait, really disperses a lot of water. I can throw this at isolated cover, you know, lily pads, reed stocks, anything like that, anything isolated, and hope that there's a bedfish there. You know, you're hoping that there's a big mama on the bed around there. Not going to take lightly to a frog that comes in there violently in its area. Also a great way just to move water in the spring. Fish are shallow. From Minnesota to New York to Florida to Texas, a frog is going to just get those bites that you want to get moving that shallow water. And my setup, I am using another new one for me that I like. I used to use this one in the NRX a lot. Can't say I just been liking this GLX series a lot. This is the G Loomis GLX 904C MBR Meg Bass Rod. I just think it fits the bill perfect. I can throw it in thick cover, and it's still got enough for me to use it as just an open water frog, which generally isn't going to happen a ton in Florida like it would, say, in the southern states or up north. Their vegetation just doesn't go nowhere down here. So it might be pockets and holes. Well, as soon as you get that bite, you know, I'm using my Metanium here. I'm using straight 50-pound Power Pro or Power Pro SSV2. I kind of switch back and forth. Doesn't really matter. Whatever's on there, as long as it's 50 or 65-pound test, we're good to go. But this Bass Mafia frog, you're going to see some pretty awesome illicit strikes on one of these upcoming bass lanes that we got come up. What about a jerk bait? Whether we're forward sonaring, yes, we forward sonar a lot in Florida. I think we're learning you can forward sonar about everywhere. But whether you're forward sonaring or just fishing grass beds, places like Lake Toho or Gunnersville, anywhere in the south that's got hydrilla, or whether you're pinpointing fish you want to throw a jerk bait, you're going through a lot of ups and downs with the water temps right now. Seasonally, it's getting warm, then it drops off, gets really cold. That makes fish start to jerk out a little bit, start to freak out and die, and you can have shad spawn offs. And at the same time, a jerk bait will mimic that, get those bites that you need. This one right here is a World Minnow. I love this color. I don't even know if it's new or not. I just saw it. I put in an order. A lot of these rods are fresh, brand new. Just got them all rigged up and ready. I can't get it off here to show you. But it's a World Minnow, Shimano World Minnow, okay? This is the 115 suspended model, and they all have they have jet boost in them, and then they have flash boost. In this one, I don't know if we can get and see it. Are we seeing that? It's got a gold blade in it. So it's like it's a white bony color, which is just awesome. And then at the same time, it got this orange yellow, little bit of but then that flash in there of gold. I'm just absolutely loving this jerkbait, especially for fishing tannic water, Florida water, or anywhere where they got golden shiners and stuff like that. I think it's just another little touch. Oh, we should probably talk about the rod though. This is the G Loomis GLX 822C jerkbait rod, pretty fitting. A mod fast medium action. It's got a short handle. I'm not getting this thing caught in my bibs. I can cast this thing a mile, and I generally like a jerkbait rod to have a little bit more backbone than others do. I like to be able to drive the hooks home, upgrading those hooks, and but these ones that come on the Shimano are just deadly. And then I'm using the Shimano Metanium DC. It's just a little 70 XG. I want to pick up, you know, I'm jerking the rod, I want to be able to pick up that slack rod, hitting them, picking it up, hitting them, pick it up, bam, he's there, and be able to control that fish back to the boat. You can cast this thing a country mile. It's a DC. It's a super bougie reel. I absolutely love this thing for throwing light baits or hard to throw baits, especially in the wind and stuff like that. All right, next. It's not always shallow water fishing in Florida. There's actually a lot of current. They have a lot of river systems. Heck, I think most all the lakes around here are connected via different river systems. So there's always current flowing through. Of course, you got shell bars, you got offshore stuff, and even bed fishing. I always have some spinning rods in my boat here, and a Ned rig is no different. I used to throw a shaky head a ton, and I still do. It's kind of a specific thing, but when I run into it, I'll definitely throw it on what's on my deck. I've just become so comfortable with the Ned rig. I think it does about the same. I can change out my plastics to be bigger, to be smaller. The Z-Man TRD is a straight up fish catcher. And this is a new head that we've been working on at Black Sheep Custom Tackle. I'm not going to get into it totally, but I will give you the juice. It's a slanted Ned head. It's got an awesome, sticky, sharp coated hook. We'll talk about the hook more here after a while. Again, couple different versions of Ned heads coming out. This one, when you're fishing it on the bottom, always like you usually are with the Ned rig, but we'll get into some more of that stuff later too. Absolutely sticks them. So we'll get into this more, but just a slanted Ned head. Again, when it comes to Black Sheep Custom Tackle, we are getting very, very close. I get a lot of messages on that. It was hoping the Classic, things got a little bit pushed up just to get everything in, and now I'm hearing it's just looking like the end of March. So please stay tuned. We are getting closer. There's a reason why I'm starting to show these off. And again, you can see a lot of these new Black Sheep Custom Tackles, Z-Man, all the stuff that I'm showing you on my the Bass Lane series. So definitely be checking that out. Rod, we should talk about that. I keep wanting to skip past the rod. This is a G Loomis NRX Plus 872S jigworm rod, 7.3 medium action. It's a strong medium action. It's one of my favorite rods anytime I'm around big fish, anytime I'm picking a fish up off the bottom. And I'm using the new Shimano XSense B. This is a 4,000 size with, I think it's 8 or 10 pound Power Pro, just regular red Power Pro. But I'm going to have a Ned rig, a shaky head, something finessey to fish on the bottom, maybe a little tiny jig. All those things kind of interchange on this rod. This is just what we were getting some bites, fishing some shell bars on. Since we got the spinning rods, let's keep one more going. Same exact rod too, the 872S, because I'm throwing a big minnow. This is a big Z-Man 7-inch scented shads. This should be an absolute worn out. I think this is like not quite 3/16 of a head. This is our new head for throwing minnows. You can see Alec Morrison designed this thing. We have nasty coated hooks coming in here. I'm not going to be the one to give away the total package. Matter of fact, you can't even hardly see this thing, even if I didn't want to show you. I've used so much super glue because I've been catching bass on this thing for 6 months. And it's still tacky sharp, and I'm still catching them. You can see the big hook too. I love the big hook. Big O'Shaughnessy style hook for these bigger baits. Just sticks them in the top of the mouth. Again, I'm using that 872 medium action, something that's got some backbone. I'm throwing a big heavy plastic on this thing. I'm using the XSense 3000. We talk about that a lot in my What's on My Decks. I like how slow they are. They're not how slow they are. I like that they're slower than a 4000, which I was greatly accustomed to using all the time. The 3000's a little bit slower, helps me keep the bait in front of those fish's face without pulling it away from them too quick or getting a little too trigger happy with the XSense. But that's my minnow, and yes, in Florida, we are still floating around looking at the forward sonar and putting minnows on their head for sure. Let's see, this one I've been going into overtime with. This is one of my favorite setups. Still beating it up too. It's a swim jig, and this is I go back and forth between a 3/8 and a half. I think that's a 3/8. I'm using a 5-inch Z-Man diesel minnow on the back. Wouldn't be my first choice for fishing like offshore swim jigs and stuff, but when you are up in thick cover, a few feet of water, and you want something that's going to kick viciously, be very buoyant, and disturb a lot of water and get big bites, that minnow on the back of a good swim jig will. This is just a dirty jig, no jack, good swim jig. I've used it in Florida for a long time. I do know we got some stuff in the works with Black Sheep Custom Tackle that maybe I'll be showing off some of those soon. But my rod, this is actually a prototype. I didn't even know I had this with me when I came to Florida. This is an NRX Plus 904C MBR. Same rod that I was showing the frog on, but in the NRX. A little bit lighter, maybe a touch softer, but still it's got a lot of stout. And I'm using a Shimano Metanium HG with straight 50-pound Power Pro SSV2. Now I am throwing this swim jig not on weed lines, not on none of that. I'm throwing it in the thickest crap out there and just 4x4ing that swim jig through stuff, bumping stuff, hitting stuff, killing it, letting it fall in holes, rolling it over lily pads, letting it fall in that hole. Sometimes I get the bite there, sometimes I get the bite while it's just swimming, sometimes it's rolling over something and that's when they bite it. But I don't care how much cover is in front of me. If I'm fishing in the south or just shallow, heavy cover from Minnesota to Florida, I'm throwing a jig like this and producing big, big bites when I do it. All right, 2 more. Well, I will never, ever, ever, ever not have a punching setup down here in Florida. Anywhere. Again, I say Florida a lot, but this is very much so shallow cover. But in Florida, it gets extra thick, and I'm throwing a big dog. It's like a 2-ounce weight right there. I am using the Owner Hooks Haymaker hook. It's offset. It's an awesome hook. I used to use a lot of straight shanks. I don't anymore. This thing holds right up there, keeps all kinds of plastic, including elastic on there, and allows me just to go like this and just push it down and hide it in the meat. And it's still got the offset bend, or still got the holding mechanism there, and still meat hooks. I'm not getting caught all the time. Saves plastics like crazy and absolutely buries it in their mouth. What I like about using Elastec again is putting it down in there. You need to have the right hook. That was a lot of my problems. I knew I loved Elastec for smallmouths and all that stuff, and I'm really learning how much I like it for largemouth. Again though, you just got to pair it a lot of times with the right hook. You got to think about what you need. But this thing, when it hits the bottom, is flaming up like this, is sitting straight up like a crawdad. When it comes up through the top and I hold in the top of the mat, it's sitting here and floating right there. Gets big bites, but you are not wanting to take a knife to a gunfight. So when you're flipping through 20 pounds of mat, of hyacinth mats, you need a stick that'll do the job. And this is the G Loomis GLX 954C FPR. Again, we're back into the FPR, the flipping punching rod series. Awesome for that. It comes in at 7'11", just under 8 foot, tons of backbone, real strong rod for being able to punch thick stuff, being able to accurately flip and punch into that stuff, and then of course extracting big bass out of them. I'm using an XG, Shimano Metanium XG. Again, these are what I use. It's all speeds and stuff, so whatever you want to use. If it's a Corrado, great. Just awesome. I got small hands, so I prefer a little bit smaller reel size, and the Metanium is about as good as of a casting reel as you can get. All right, last but not least, a whole new setup. Super excited to talk about this setup. It's a new one for me. I got a lot of new stuff that I'm getting ready to kick off here in the next few, especially as I start getting out of Florida and start using some different rods. I'm excited to show off. This right here is an 86 bait Andromeda. It's a big swim bait. Forward sonar finally taught me. I was never much of I'd throw it around on some riprap and stuff like that and throw it around for a couple hours, say, okay, that's fun, find me a jig again. But with forward sonar, I kind of learned how the bait moves. I can get it further than what I wanted to put, especially big $300 baits like this. I wanted to keep them where I could see them a lot. I was afraid to sink them. Now I can let them sink. Heck, I'm putting on, you can see here, I got lead tied up for sinking it down. Fishing brush, fishing current, and just a big bait. It's going to get looks from big fish, whether they eat it or not, and they do. Trust me, they do. Little ones will eat this. This is what they eat all day long. But it's not just the bait that I want to talk about. It's the whole damn setup, and this is the Shimano Outlier. I got a whole set of these. I got everything in the set. Fell in love with these rods. Generally push the G Loomis side of things when it comes to rods, but at the same time, Shimano makes fantastic. They're almost one and the same, or they are. Shimano's with the owns G Loomis, but the Outlier series is a new one that they dropped, swim bait specific, and this one right here is the 710 Heavy Plus. So it's a 710 Heavy Plus. I got a 8-footer. That's an extra heavy for even bigger swim baits than this. I got ones for throwing, you know, all kinds of soft plastic swim baits, all different sizes. Really love this. They hit a home run when they did the Outlier series. Fun to throw swim baits for me, for sure. And I'm using the new Tranks 300 straight 20-pound Seeger and Invisex fluorocarbon. Most of these swim baits I would just throw a Corrado 200, you're good. But these bigger ones, it takes a lot to chuck them out there. You're asking a lot of your reel, and I just think it's more enjoyable and more accurate using the big Tranks 300 to throw these big baits. It fits the rod good, and gets me committed to catching some big ones. So that is my final one. I hope you enjoyed this one. We're kicking off the season. This is January. Well, hopefully this thing will be up here real quick. We'll have a new bass lane. If you haven't checked the first bass lane out, please subscribe to my channel. Please look up the bass lane. Give it a watch. I'm hoping for awesome content, cinematic stuff, but quality content that's teaching all you watching whatever it is that I know when it comes to bass fishing. I'm going to try to turn it all over to you. So definitely check that out, and we'll be back with another What's on My Deck very, very soon. Thanks for following along. Tight line.